There is a man who walks into a room where 12 men are waiting to kill him. He does not run. He does not shout. He does not explain himself to anyone. He breathes out. He takes one step forward. And in 90 seconds, every one of those men is on the floor. His name is John Wick, and he is not real. But what makes him unstoppable? That is very real. It is older than cinema, older than America, older than the guns in his hands. It was written down by a Roman emperor, by a slave, by a Greek merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck. And it has been used by soldiers, monks, and quiet men for over 2,000 years. This is not a fan video. This is not a fight compilation. This is a breakdown of 15 principles hidden inside one fictional character. Principles you can start using before this video ends. This is how to become like John Wick. The movie does not start with violence. It starts with a man burying his wife. John Wick is not a man without feeling. He is a man drowning in it. His wife is gone. He is alone in an empty house. And when the last gift she left him, a small dog, is killed by strangers who break in to steal his car, the world expects him to collapse. He does not. He does not scream. He walks into the garage in the middle of the night, takes a sledgehammer to a concrete floor, and digs up the life he buried to protect her. That is not rage. That is grief with a spine. The Stoics had a word for this: apatheia. Not the absence of pain, but the refusal to be controlled by it. Seneca, who lost his son, wrote, "Let tears fall, but let them fall in a controlled line. Feel the loss. Name the loss. Do not let the loss make your decisions for you." Most men do one of two things with grief. They swallow it and pretend it did not happen, and it rots them from the inside. Or they let it detonate, and they destroy everything around them trying to outrun the pain. John Wick does neither. He feels it completely, and then he gives it a direction. This is the difference between a man who is broken by loss and a man who is sharpened by it. The broken man lets grief choose his next move. The sharp man lets grief remind him what he is capable of. Here is the practice. The next time something is taken from you, do not rush to be okay. Sit in the loss long enough that you know its shape. Then ask one question: what does this pain want me to do? Not want me to avoid, want me to do. That is the first lesson. Pain will come. Your job is not to outrun it. Your job is to keep your hand steady while it burns. In the world of John Wick, there is a small gold coin. It is not legal tender. You cannot spend it anywhere in the normal world. But inside the Continental Hotel, inside the network of assassins that runs under every city, that coin can buy you a room, a doctor, a body disposal, a weapon, a life. It works for one reason. The coin is a promise, and every person holding one has agreed that the promise will be kept. John Wick never breaks the coin, not once, even when breaking it would save his life. This is not sentimentality, this is infrastructure. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, built his entire philosophy on one idea: that a man's word is the only thing the world cannot take from him. Cicero said it more sharply: nothing is more noble, nothing more venerable than fidelity. John Wick understands something most men have forgotten. Your word is not a social nicety. It is the entire structure that holds your life together. The moment your promises stop meaning anything, every deal becomes disposable. Every relationship becomes transactional. Every room becomes a negotiation. Most men treat their word cheaply. They cancel plans for a better offer. They agree to things they do not intend to do. They promise in January what they know they will not deliver by March. Each broken promise is a coin they throw into the street. John Wick would rather bleed than break a coin, because the day your promises stop working is the day you are alone in a way no friendship can fix. Here is the practice. For the next month, stop making promises you will not keep. Stop saying yes when you mean maybe. Stop agreeing to dinners, calls, favors, and deadlines you know you will quietly abandon. Say less. Deliver everything you say. That is the second lesson. A man with a working word is a man with working leverage. Everyone else is just making noise. Watch John Wick fight. Really watch. Not the spectacle, the movement. He does not swing wild. He does not posture. He does not waste a single motion. Every step, every turn of the wrist, every breath is measured. If he needs one bullet, he fires one. If he needs 1 second, he takes one. Nothing extra, nothing decorative. That is not an action scene. That is a philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Keep your impulse in your own power. The Stoics called this sophrosyne. The closest English word is economy, the disciplined refusal of anything unnecessary. Most men are the opposite. Their day is stuffed with wasted motion, wasted words, wasted tabs, wasted arguments, wasted scrolling. By the time they reach the thing that actually matters, they are already tired, already distracted, already dull. John Wick carries one bag. He drives one car. He wears one suit. He does not own things he does not use. He does not speak sentences that do not land. He does not spend attention on anything that does not serve the mission in front of him. That is why he has so much of it when the moment comes. Here's the practice. Write down the 10 things you did yesterday. Now circle the 3 that actually moved your life. The other 7. Those are wasted rounds. Every week, cut 1. An app, a habit, a conversation, a commitment. That is the 3rd lesson. Do less. Mean more. Let your movement be so clean that when you finally strike, it is the only sound in the room. John Wick has almost nothing left in his life. No wife, no friends outside the underworld, no peace. But he has rituals. The car he keeps in immaculate condition. The suit he tailors himself into before every meeting with death. The dog he feeds at the same time every morning. The quiet kitchen where he makes coffee at dawn. The Russian Orthodox crosses he kisses before a fight. These are not quirks. These are anchors. They are what stops a man who has lost everything from dissolving into the dark. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, did the same thing. Every morning before the Senate, before the generals, before an empire of complaints pressed down on him, he sat alone and wrote. He prepared his mind the way a soldier prepares a weapon. Seneca wrote, "Nothing becomes a habit in a man without repetition, and nothing protects a man from chaos like a habit he will not abandon." This is what most men get wrong about discipline. They think discipline means grinding, punishment, pushing harder. Real discipline is softer than that. It is the same small act, performed the same way, every day, regardless of how you feel about it. John Wick does not feel like making coffee the morning after his wife dies. He makes it anyway, because the ritual reminds him he is still a man with a morning, still a man with a floor beneath him. Here is the practice. Pick one ritual, just one, something you do every morning before the world gets a vote. Make the bed, brew the coffee, walk for 10 minutes, write 3 lines. Do it the same way for 30 days, regardless of mood. Because the man with one unbreakable ritual has a floor, and the man with the floor cannot be knocked down. That is the 4th lesson. Your rituals are the quiet scaffolding holding up everything you love. Treat them like the load-bearing walls they are. There is a question the first movie quietly answers. How does a man, alone, walk through 50 trained killers and come out alive? The answer is not luck. The answer is not rage. The answer is years of work no one watched. Before the wife, before the dog, before the house in the woods. There were 10,000 mornings of practice. Range time, knife work, driving drills, languages, anatomy, doors and windows and rooftops studied like scripture. Wick did not become the Baba Yaga the night his car was taken. He became the Baba Yaga in the years he prepared for a war he hoped would never come. The Stoics had a word for this. Premeditatio, premeditation of evils. Seneca told his students to spend an hour each evening rehearsing in the mind every disaster that might arrive at dawn, not to invite it, to rob it of its power. He wrote, "The man who has anticipated the coming of trouble takes away its power when it arrives." Most men do the opposite. They train only when the fight is at the door. They learn to swim only when the boat is sinking. They start saving when the bills come. They study leadership the week they are promoted. And in the moment actually demands them, they are improvising with hands that have never done the work. John Wick is the opposite. By the time the world asks him for everything, he has already given the work. He is not finding the man inside him. He is meeting the man he built in private. Here is the practice. Pick one storm you are praying does not arrive: a layoff, a medical scare, a market crash. Now spend 10 minutes a week training as if it is already on the calendar. Save the money, build the skill, have the conversation. Hope is a weak shield. Practice is a wall. That is the fifth lesson. The man who hopes nothing happens has nothing to meet it with. The man who trained in private has everything. John Wick almost never threatens anyone. Count the moments across 3 movies where he postures, raises his voice, tries to intimidate someone into backing off. You will find almost none. When men insult him, he does not argue. When men mock him, he does not correct them. When men make the classic mistake of saying, "Do you know who I am?" he rarely answers. Because John Wick has understood something most men never will. Threats are for people who cannot deliver. Epictetus said it plainly. Do not explain your philosophy, embody it. Sheep do not throw up the grass to show the shepherd how much they have eaten. They produce wool. A threat is the verbal form of eaten grass. It is a loud announcement that a man is about to do something. The moment he announces it, he warns his opponent, invites negotiation, and puts his ego on the line in a way that makes backing down humiliating. He has boxed himself in before the first move. Wick does the opposite. He shows up, he does the thing, he leaves. When he speaks before a fight, it is rarely a threat, often just a sentence, quiet, exact. Usually a name, sometimes just a look. The threat is the man in the doorway. Most men live their lives the other way around. They threaten constantly. They tell their boss they are going to quit. They tell their partner they are done. They tell the world what they are going to build, conquer, or destroy. And 90% of it is noise, because they have not actually decided to act. Everyone around them learns to stop listening until the day they mean it, and no one believes them. Here is the practice. Stop making ultimatums you will not enforce. Stop warning people about consequences you will not deliver. Decide in silence. Execute in silence. Let the result be the announcement. That is the sixth lesson. Your silence is a loaded weapon. Your threats are noise that tells the world the weapon is empty. When the first movie begins, John Wick is out. He has served his time. He has paid his debts. He has walked away from the life with a wife, a house on the edge of the city, and a promise to never pick up a gun again. And the men who knew him in the old life do not believe he is gone. They circle. They underestimate. They send a rookie to steal his car because they cannot imagine the legend is still dangerous in a quiet house in New Jersey. They are wrong. And their being wrong is his greatest weapon, Sun Tzu wrote. Appear weak when you are strong. Epictetus said, never concern yourself with what others think of your abilities. Concern yourself with what those abilities actually are. The two quotes are one idea. The man who lets the world misread him keeps the one thing the world cannot take away: the element of surprise. Most men do the opposite. They announce their strength constantly. Their resume, their numbers, their credentials, their hours in the gym. And in doing so, they hand every rival, every negotiator, every opponent a perfect map of what they are capable of. John Wick walks into every room looking like a tired man in a black suit. And every room misjudges him. Every room. Here is the practice. Stop correcting people who doubt you. Stop proving yourself in conversation. Stop inflating your resume at dinner parties. Let people form the wrong picture of you. Let them underestimate the hours you have put in, the work you have done, the fights you have survived. Then, when it matters, let the result be the correction. That is the seventh lesson. Your reputation is not a billboard. It is a weapon. And weapons work best when the other man did not know they were in the room. Quick pause. If this is changing how you see yourself, subscribe. We are building something here. Ancient philosophy, dangerous characters, real principles. And if you want daily Stoic wisdom in your pocket, download the Becoming Stoic app. Free, link in the description. Now back to it. The Continental Hotel is not a hotel. It is a network, a system of favors, markers, debts, and coins that binds every important person in the underworld to every other. John Wick built his life inside this network. He did favors that he did not have to do. He honored markers older than the men holding them. He paid interest on trust. And when his life was on the line, alone, wounded, hunted, It was the network that opened doors no money could have opened. This is not gangster logic. This is classical philosophy. Aristotle said it 2,000 years before Hollywood existed. Man is a political animal. Not political in the modern sense. Political in the root sense. A creature who lives among other creatures and whose life is built on the obligations between them. Seneca wrote hundreds of letters about friendship. His core idea: a friend is someone who owes you nothing and would still come. Most men today treat relationships like vending machines. They show up when they need something. They disappear when they do not. They count favors the wrong way, remembering what they gave, forgetting what they took. John Wick does the opposite. He shows up when no one needs him to. He does favors he cannot cash. He sits at the same tables, toasts the same toasts, remembers the names of the old men at the edge of the room, because he understands the math. The man who has done 100 small kindnesses has 100 doors. The man who has done none is standing outside in the rain. Here is the practice. Pick 3 people this month. Do something small for each of them with no expectation of return. An introduction, an honest recommendation. 5 minutes of your actual attention. Do not mention it. Do not cash it. Do not remind them. Keep doing it for a year. That is the 8th lesson. Leverage is not cash. Leverage is the number of people who answer your call. Watch John Wick prepare for a job. He lays the weapons on the table. He counts the rounds. He picks the suit. He tells his contact what he needs. He tells the front desk how long he will be staying. But there is always one thing he does not say. The exit, the hidden weapon, the second contact, the fallback car, the room he booked under another name, the favor he is holding in reserve. There is always one door he keeps closed, even from the people standing next to him. And that one closed door is what saves his life, over and over. Epictetus taught a discipline he called prosouche, vigilance, the constant guarding of the inner self. He told his students to act in the world with reservation. Always do the thing, but always keep one piece of yourself out of the room. Because the moment you spend everything you are on a single move, you have nothing left to meet what comes next. Marcus Aurelius wrote it in fewer words. Be always one move ahead of your own performance. Most men do the opposite. They tell everyone everything, their plans, their numbers, their fears, their next move. They confuse intimacy with full disclosure, and they confuse honesty with broadcasting. And then they wonder why every negotiation finds them with no leverage left, why every rival saw the punch coming. John Wick is honest, but he is not transparent. There is a difference, and most men have forgotten it. Here is the practice. In your next 3 meetings, decide before you walk in, what is the one thing I will not share? Not a lie, a reservation, a piece of the picture that stays yours. That is the 9th lesson. A man with one closed door can still surprise the world. A man with no doors is already cornered. For 2 full movies, John Wick plays by the rules of the Continental, the rules of the High Table, the rules of the old world that raised him. He does not break them when it is inconvenient. He does not break them when his life is at risk. He takes beatings, loses friends, and spills his own blood inside the lines, because a world without rules is a world where men like him become animals. And then, in the 3rd movie, the rules betray him. Only then does he step outside them. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire by law, because a society without structure collapses into brutality. But he also wrote, there is a proper dignity and proportion to the execution of every act of life. He knew the rules were a tool, not a god. The Stoic move is this: you honor the structure completely, because honoring it is what makes you strong. You train inside the constraint. You master the form. And then, if the structure itself turns against the truth, you are the one man who has the authority to step outside it. Because everyone knows you are not a man who ever cheated while you were inside. Most men do this backwards. They cut corners. They fudge expense reports. They cheat at the game while they are still playing it. And then when a real injustice arrives, they have no authority. They are just a man who was never inside the lines. John Wick earns the right to burn down the Continental by honoring it first. Here is the practice. Do the small things right. Pay the tax. Answer the email. Keep the minor promises no one would notice you broke. Build a decade of quiet integrity that no one mistakes for weakness. That is the 10th lesson. The man who honors small rules earns the right to break large ones. John Wick is hit by cars, thrown off roofs, stabbed in the hand, frozen in the river, shot in the stomach. left to die in alleys. He is constantly wounded, and he is constantly walking, not sprinting, not fleeing, walking. There is a scene in the third movie where he has been shot, has lost more blood than a man should survive, and he is stumbling through the snow. No music, no dialogue, just a man, badly hurt, putting one foot in front of the other because the alternative is to lie down and die. That image is the whole Stoic tradition in one shot. Epictetus spent his whole life in pain. Born a slave, his leg permanently crippled by his master, exiled by an emperor. And he taught until the day he died that the body is not you. The body is a vessel, the pain is information, not command. He wrote, "I must die. Must I then die whining?" Marcus Aurelius wrote it in 5 words. Bear the pain as fits a man. Most men catastrophize the first sign of discomfort. A headache becomes a crisis. A setback becomes an identity. A criticism becomes a wound they nurse for months. They do not walk through pain. They sit down in it and start a small fire. John Wick is not immune to pain. He feels every shot, every broken bone. You can see it on his face, but he does not negotiate with it. He does not perform it. He does not let it stop his legs. Here is the practice. The next time something actually hurts, a failure, an injury, a betrayal, do not post about it. Do not turn it into a personality. Feel it. Name it. Take one step forward anyway. That is the 11th lesson. Legs keep moving. That is the whole trick. Legs keep moving. By the end of the third movie, John Wick has lost almost everything a man can lose. His wife, his dog, his house, burned to the ground, his car, destroyed, his friends, dead or hunting him, his membership, revoked, his money, frozen, his name, excommunicated, and he is still walking. This is the most dangerous thing about him, and it is a lesson the Stoics taught more clearly than anyone before or since. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our power, some are not. In our power are our opinions, our choices, our desires, our responses. Not in our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office." He was teaching a simple, brutal truth. If your identity is built on things that can be taken, your identity can be taken. If it is built on things that cannot be taken, your mind, your discipline, your way of meeting the day, then nothing any enemy does can erase you. John Wick loses every external thing, and he is still, unmistakably, John Wick. Because what made him John Wick was never the house, or the car, or the money. It was the mind that built them, lost them, and can build them again from nothing. Most men build their identity on externals, a title, a salary, a relationship, a physique, a follower count. And the moment one of those things cracks, they go with it. They do not lose a possession, they lose themselves. Here is the practice. Spend 1 day a month deliberately without something you depend on. No phone for a day, no car for a day, no caffeine for a day. Small losses, chosen on purpose. To remind yourself that you are still you without them. That is the 12th lesson. Build the man first. Everything outside him is borrowed. There is a moment in the 4th movie that no one forgets. John Wick has won. He has climbed the stairs. He has earned his freedom the hard, bloody, impossible way. And at the top of the hill, with the sun rising, he sits down on the stone step next to a friend, and he dies there. No resurrection scene, no twist, no final trick. The man who became a legend by refusing to die, dies. The first time you watch it, you are angry, because you wanted the myth. You wanted John Wick to drive off into the light, untouchable one more time. That is what we want from our heroes. We want the cost of mastery to be someone else's problem. But every Stoic philosopher refused to lie about this. Marcus Aurelius, at the height of his power, wrote, "Soon you will have forgotten everyone, and soon everyone will have forgotten you." Seneca wrote that no skill, no virtue, no achievement protects you from the fact that you are a man, and men pay for the paths they choose. The Stoics called this amor fati, love of fate, not acceptance, which is cold, not tolerance, which is weak. Love, the full, open-eyed willingness to meet every part of the life you chose, including the parts that will cost you. This is the hardest lesson in the philosophy, because it forces you to admit what modern self-help will never admit. Discipline is not free. Mastery has a price. The man you are becoming is going to cost the man you were, and nothing is going to refund you. John Wick does not become the Baba Yaga by accident. He pays. In wives, in friends, in years of quiet he will never get back. And the genius of the fourth film is that he knows. He chose it anyway. The question the Stoics put to every man is this: can you love the price? Not tolerate it, not endure it, love it. Because you chose it, and a life you did not choose is not yours. Most men cannot. They want the results with the cost deferred to someone else. And so they never fully commit, and their lives become that half thing. Neither the comfort they did not fully choose, nor the full life they were too afraid to pay for. Here is the practice. Look at the life you say you want. Now look at the cost written on the back of the ticket, and ask, can I love this price? If you can, you are already becoming a rare thing. And if you cannot, that is honest information. Pick a different life whose cost you accept and live that one completely. That is the 13th lesson. There is no clean mastery. There is only the cost, clearly seen, willingly paid, and a man who becomes real by paying it. John Wick grieves in private. The garage at midnight. The empty kitchen. The cemetery in the rain when he thinks no one is watching. The hand on a stone. The breath out. No camera he is performing for. No audience he is asking to feel with him. And then he walks back into the world with a face that gives nothing away. This is not coldness. This is the oldest form of strength a man can practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote a phrase the Stoics built whole lives around: retire into yourself. He called the inner self a citadel, a walled, quiet place inside a man that no one is allowed into without his permission. Some grief, he taught, must be carried inside the citadel and nowhere else. Because grief that is performed becomes a transaction. The moment you grieve in public, you are asking the room to feel with you. And the room, even when it loves you, will soften it, share it, post it, turn it into something that belongs to them too. And the part of the loss that was sacred is gone. Most men today do the opposite. They grieve on a screen. They turn pain into content. They trade the privacy of the wound for the small dopamine of being seen carrying it. And then they wonder why the grief never seems to finish. A grief that is shared too soon stays shallow. A grief that is sat with alone goes deep, does its work, and lets you walk. Here is the practice. The next loss that is yours, a death, a breakup, a rejection that cuts deeper than you expected. Do not post it. Do not announce it. Sit with it in a room where no one is watching for at least one full week. Let the loss meet you alone. You can speak about it later. To one person. To two. Not to a crowd. That is the 14th lesson. Public grief is performance. Private grief is medicine. Only one of them heals. If you have made it this far, you understand something most people never will. John Wick is not a character. He is a blueprint, not a blueprint for violence. That is the fiction. The blueprint is the same material the Stoics used to build the most unshakable men in history. Control your grief. That is Seneca. Honor the coin. That is Zeno. Move with economy. That is Marcus Aurelius. Keep your rituals sacred. That is Epictetus in practice. Train for what you hope never comes. That is premeditatio. Never threaten what you cannot deliver. That is every philosopher who ever lived. Let them call you retired. That is Sun Tzu meeting the Stoics. Build a network of obligations. That is Aristotle. Keep one door closed at all times. That is Prososh. Respect the rules until they break you. That is Stoic civic virtue. Walk through the pain. That is Epictetus. Lose everything and keep moving. That is the inner citadel. Accept that the cost is real. That is amor fati. Grieve alone or not at all. That is the citadel guarded. And the 15th law, the one that holds all the others together, is this: become the man they tell stories about, not the man who tells stories about himself. Not the man who posts the highlight, not the man who performs his life on a screen. The man who, long after he has left the room, is still being described in hushed voices with a respect he never asked for. That is what John Wick is. Fictional, but unforgettable. silent but louder than any announcement. A man whose life did the talking he never did. And that is what will make you real and unshakable. Here is what no one tells you about becoming like John Wick. It is not loud. There is no pencil. There is no stair climb. There is no entrance. No music swells when you walk into the room. It is the morning ritual no one sees. The promise you kept when no one was watching. The threat you did not make. The conversation where you said one sentence instead of 10. The pain you walked through without posting about it. The favor you did for someone who can do nothing for you. The grief you carried alone. It is private. It is slow. And it is permanent. Because the man who does this work becomes something the world has almost no defense against. Not a fictional legend. A man who is fully real and fully in command of himself. If this changed something in how you see yourself, subscribe. There are more of these coming. Characters you know, rebuilt through the lens of philosophy you have never been taught. And download the Becoming Stoic app. It is the daily discipline system in your pocket. Free. Link in the description. Now close this video and go be the man they tell stories about.